ANC5D public meeting for February is now called to order. At this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner Yvonne Buggs to call the roll.
Good evening, everyone. Pettigay Lewis.
Present.
Keisha Shropshire. Present. Adam Roberts. Present. Bernice Blacknell.
Present.
Kathy Henderson.
Present.
I'm Yvonne Buggs. Clarence Lee.
Present.
Commissioner Buggs, do we have a quorum?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming this evening. We're happy to provide this public meeting for your benefit. Please be reminded that these meetings are conducted according to Robert's Rules of Order. These meetings are very civil, respectful, cordial, and we want everyone that wants to participate and to be heard without interruption. If at any time there is someone who attempts to be disruptive in any manner, it will not be tolerated and you will be removed from the meeting. And I hope that we don't have to undertake, that action, but sometimes individuals get beside themselves and forget where they are and the purpose of our meeting. At the last meeting, our January meeting, we didn't have enough opportunity to hear a complete list of citizens' concerns. So we'd like to start the meeting hearing from citizens. Anyone with a concern that you wish to address, please feel free to do so. Just raise your hand and I will recognize you. Ms. Martins, and I see you, ma'am, you're next.
My name is Minister Marjorie Thomas Barnes. I live at 1911 High Street, Northeast. There was an incident in our area, I think about 2 weeks ago, where there was a van, 2 cars, guys shooting at each other, 2 guys were shot. The van went into the building, thank God. It was like during time when children are getting out of school, around 3:30, maybe 4 to 4, and some of the children are still in school. My concern during the daytime, I just thank the officers for being getting there so quickly, trying to apprehend those. And the night before, there was a big shooting. I had to get out of my bed and lay on the floor because a bullet doesn't have a name on it. You don't know where it's coming from. But something has to be done. I'm not moving out of the district. My family's here. My son is here. My grandchildren are here. My great-grands are here. I'm not leaving. So you don't want to help. We need to get something done with this, like real fast.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes, and I'll address it, certainly Commander Porter. You are my constituent. I was there during that incident. Mr. Jones was there as well. MPD was on the scene, and I'm very pleased with their very, very prompt response, but I'll let Commander Porter address that further. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Yumi Nguyen, and I live at 1313 Warren Street and 5D06. I was by a car in October 15. I found the corner about Staples and Warren, and I think you're familiar with that intersection. It's very busy. It has about 3 zebra crossings, and there's like about at least 5 signs, 2 of which are in the middle of the crossings. 2 of the zebra crossings are very parallel to each other. Anyways, I was hit about 11 p.m. With a car. He said he didn't see me. I was 3 feet from the curb. There was a guy in front of me that also lives on my block, and he made it to the curb. I flew 10 feet. Anyways, I was in the hospital for 2 months. I was released about December 22nd, so I've been out of the hospital for about a month and a half. And my biggest concern is that there's 5 signs there, and it's very hectic, especially during rush hour. But at night, the next stoplight is not for another like 10 feet, 10, 15 feet, but they don't see those zebra cross intersections. In DC, zebra cross intersections, you have to stop pedestrians. It's the law. But we have a lot of commuters coming from Maryland. We're near the Maryland border. So they are not stopping, not recognizing this. And it's a big concern. I know a couple of years ago, a lady was killed.
Yes.
A couple of blocks down on Florida and West Virginia, I believe.
Yes.
So and the common denominator is Florida Avenue is busy avenue. So we should look about installing a flashing red light because they're not seeing these signs. So if we can do something about that. Also, Orange and Florida, the crosswalk going across Florida does not work. I can attest to that. I believe hours. So I end up going down to like Florida and 12 just across the street because if I'm riding late to the X2, I have to cross the same intersection I'm set at. And I'm not about to do it at night, so I'll just take my time.
Thank you. Yeah, before you, I just want to ask one question. The recorder, your name please? Nick Russo. And Mr. Russo, so far you are proceeding appropriately. We just want to make sure that if there's anyone filming, the Office of the Attorney General has determined that you may do so as long as it does not obstruct the proceedings of this commission. So you may feel free to do so. And the Office of the Attorney General has also indicated that you don't have to provide us with a copy. At our January meeting, I did request a copy from the individuals that saw fit to film this public meeting for our benefit. They didn't see the need to do so, so it is within their rights not to. So again, if you are filming, you may do so without disrupting Commissioner Lee, then Commissioner Lewis.
I didn't get your name.
You mean when?
You mean Miss Wynn? Because I'm a church member there where the lady was struck that evening. So I'm quite aware of the traffic problems, and we were at Gallaudet about 2 years ago, looking at they said the Florida Avenue is the only street in DC that's almost like a highway with the speeds and the rush hour. Now, the light that we had put in front of the church, it doesn't benefit us because it's a short light. But as we say, as we move down the thing, and we got parking on both sides, so maybe we need to look into having parking during rush hour to slow some of the traffic down. That would alleviate a lot of the traffic. I know a lot of residents would like to park in front of their own houses. Now, on the other side of Florida Avenue is the Sixth Ward.
Right.
So I guess like in conjunction, I don't know if we work with them, because that's been a problem for years.
Right.
Florida Avenue and West Virginia Avenue. A lot of people been hit at West Virginia Avenue crossing at the light at West Virginia and Florida Avenue because of the left turn light for the high speed. Now, there's a radar camera there at West Virginia Avenue and Holbrook. There's a camera. So that's a concern that I find, because I truly understand it. I'm just sorry that you were hit.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, we've had multiple church members hit on Florida Avenue on Sundays. So I know during rush hour that it's a bear. I know, but be late for work. Okay?
Commissioner Lee, if I may, would you, since you're a member of New Samaritan Church, would you take the lead in contacting Bishop Kelsey so that we can organize a community meeting to talk specifically around that issue?
Oh, yes,
and certainly confer with Commissioner Buggs, since that's her single member district.
Oh, yeah.
Is that acceptable, Commissioner Buggs?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Excuse
And
me.
again,
If you could add Capitol Fringe to being a part of that meeting as well. We're located at 1358
Excellent.
Florida Avenue. And
excellent.
I did report the pedestrian sign that was in the middle of the street
Thank
being
you.
knocked
If
down.
I could ask you,
And it got
Ms.
put back up.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Lee? I'm sorry, Louis, sorry.
What
Louis.
group are you with? I would like to know who you're recording for.
I'm just recording for random city.
Okay,
I'm
so
not
you
with any.
okay, so you live within.
Yeah, I live in Trinidad.
And of course, periodically, we remind everyone, please sign in. We want to make sure that we have your contact information so that we can contact you in the future, and you will get credit for your good civic participation. Okay. Commissioner Lee has asked that when you address your concerns, would you please share where you live so that the commissioners may grab you as their constituents? Yes, ma'am, in the back.
My name is Deborah Chain. I live at 1602 Beaver Street, Northeast. My concern is solution maybe could be one of those big mirrors or something that could kind of show down that way. I understand there used to be a bus stop at that location, and there wouldn't be any cars parked between Bladensburg Road, and I'm not sure what street is up like to the north or towards Mount Olive. I'm not sure what street that is.
You're exiting Lever Street, going on to
Lever
Bladensburg?
Street going on to Bladensburg Road. If you want to make
You're making a right turn.
any turn at
Left turn, right, left turn.
at that intersection, you can't see because there are cars that are parked right there. So it's almost like you got to get out in the street
That's right.
in order to be able to make the turn. And so I mean, at nighttime when people have their lights on, you know, I can look for lights and stuff like that. But a lot of times you can't see until you're actually out in the street. Is there any solution, like I said, like maybe one of those glass, you know, there's these big round things that you can put up so that people can look at that to see the oncoming traffic before they actually, because it's just a crash.
Thank you. And let me just say this. We have Mr. Tommy Jones, who is from the Mayor's Office of Community Affairs for Ward 5. He's in the back listening attentively. We will be working with him to make sure that seems like we have a lot of parking issues and traffic safety issues that we're certainly very happy to address. And we'll be working closely with the new director of DDOT. We had Evian Patterson, who's the citywide parking manager, at our September meeting. Certainly we can get him to come back because we want to make sure that as we move towards a more walkable city, that our pedestrian safety is the highest priority. And for new people that are coming in, please sign in, welcome. Take a seat if you are sitting in the back and you don't have an agenda. We have some extra copies up here, but we definitely need you to sign in. Other citizen concerns? Any other citizens' concerns?
Well, and my apologies, but then if it's not to be directed to here, then are you saying that I should direct this to?
No, you're doing the right thing. No, you're doing the right thing. Thank you.
All right.
Other citizens' concerns? Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Daniel Payne, I'm also 17 Young River Street. We still have an issue in parking around in the traffic,
Mr. Ben, can you speak up a little bit, please?
Yes, we're still having an issue with parking space right there with the kid school open right across from us. There's still a problem with traffic jams and stuff in the evening time and stuff. And we also have a problem now with, I think at one time last year we tried to get some signs for people to pick up after the animals. We have people now that bring dogs around and using the sidewalks and not picking up after the animals and everything. So those are two concerns I'd like to tell you.
And if I may respond just very briefly to that, Evian Patterson, again, is the district-wide parking manager for DDOT, came to our September meeting and we raised those issues along with parking signs on Bladensburg Road and parking illegally or inappropriately placed signs along the 1800 to 2100 blocks of Maryland Avenue. I am pleased to report that these signs, the parking signs, have been removed on January 30th from Maryland Avenue. The Bladensburg Road, those signs are coming down next, and Mr. Patterson did indicate that he is working on a resolution for the problem expressed in the 1700 block of Holbrook Street regarding the parking issue with Kip School. So that is being worked on as we speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
My name is Joe Montague. I live at 1729 Holbrook. Ancillary to what we're talking about is today. One, the Kip having a website where they can possibly post when they're going to be having athletic activities. They're having one today, and we were fortunate enough to meet with our commissioner last night so she was aware about the concerns. But second, there's, it's all understandable, but they're having a basketball game, and they've got parking tied up, and the people could at least go on to the website and see when games are scheduled, so they can plan accordingly.
You shouldn't have to do that as a resident, though.
I'm not going there, it's a neighborhood thing, the school is there, they're gonna have games, that's fine. But it would be helpful if we could have some information to plan around.
Right. And I'm sure that your commissioner, Schroeder,
Yeah.
will address that.
Yeah, this one's not-
And that'll be part of the ongoing discussion with KIP as it relates to the current discussion with DDOT. Any other citizen concerns? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Karen Ramsey. I live on Montello. I'm in Fancy's district. I have two concerns. The first, there was a bad fire on Oates in the 1100 block, and there have been a lot of ongoing issues with trash blowing around the alley, and the site has not been properly secured. Neighbors have reached out to DPW, and that's not been addressed. And it's still, there's a tarp that blows open and trash flying around the alleys. The second issue is it's becoming increasingly difficult to walk past Rose's and Stanton Liquor on Bladensburg. And we now have good retail moving in, and it's going to prevent people from frequenting those businesses when you have to walk around. You go out into the street because they're selling drugs openly in the middle of the sidewalks.
And just to address that, because I walked Bladensburg Road Saturday morning when someone put a request for what we wanted ANC, and part of that problem, I would think that we need to ask for a moratorium on single sales of beer and small alcohol. Let's take, because you know, Safeway can't sell singles. So it's that's one of the things that I want to put forward, that we have a moratorium in the whole area. We've had that once in the past in Ward 5. I don't know where it fell to, why it was taken off the books, but we had that once in Ward 5, and it's time to bring it back. Because I just walked the same thing. When someone asked what are the concerns, since that's my area, I walked down to the CVS, I walked through that way, and right. Because I'm a man, they did move. But I can understand that you and a woman and everything walking past the sidewalk's very narrow, and right, they congregate there at the Stein Liquors at another location. So I did make note of that. That's actually at 1044 Bladensburg Road. So
There was even a queue of cars of people going up to make their drug buys.
and
it's very open.
you know, my history here in Trinidad, when it was, I truly understand that.
Yes, Commissioner Lewis.
Are you guys paying attention to when their liquor license goes up for renewal to challenge it? And also, is anyone calling the police when they see these things? Because I'm the commissioner for Ivy City, and to be honest, I don't think anywhere is so much different than Ivy City. What I've done is call the police, put the reports in. If they know it's there, but if someone doesn't call and they come out immediately, those people are going to continue to sit and stand where they are.
Commissioner Lewis, if I may, this commission did not have a quorum at the November 9th, 2014 meeting where we were supposed to vote on protesting liquor licensees, and I believe Stanton's and Rosa's were among those. And that's why I think it is very, very important. We have a full complement of commissioners here tonight. We clearly have a quorum, and we need to maintain that so that we're always in the strongest position to be able to protect your interest. And because we did not have that quorum, a number of disorderly businesses were let off the hook. One other matter, I want to report excellent news. 814 Bladensburg Road, which is the mobile station, their business license is going to be revoked. It has been revoked by the city. I served as a government witness for DCRA in the Office of the Attorney General. They were caught selling synthetic marijuana, and I'm very pleased that that's one down, and I can tell you there are several more to go. And that whole corridor, your area, Bladensburg Road, Benning Road, it's coming. We're just tired of people selling illegal substances in our community, disrespecting us, treating us as though we don't deserve an excellent quality of life. Those days are over. So that's the first stop. 814 Bladensburg Road, mobile gas. So I would even encourage you to frequent that business while they're still open. Any other citizen concerned before we move on? And I'm going to ask Mr. Tommy Jones. Mr. Jones, make your way forward as we're hearing from any final citizens. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Darlene Harris.
Speak up so we can
My
hear
name
you.
is Darlene Harris, and I live in the 1200 block of Bladensburg Road. And I just want to ask is what's being done about the smoke that's emitting from the brewery next door? Because I have been diagnosed with sinus and allergies as a result of inhaling that smoke there. I live in an old building and we don't have central air or heating, so we need ventilation. And the smoke gets so thick and so strong, and the wind tends to blow it towards the direction of our building, so we have to shut out fresh air. And even when we shut out fresh air, the smoke still finds its way in our apartment. And so, I need to know what's been, what can be done about that, because I reported them to.
Thank you. You have reported that matter. I can tell you that Deputy Director Richard Jackson from the Department of the Environment is working on that issue. They did an immediate investigation. There was also someone found living at the premises, which is unlawful. There is a coordinated effort with the Department of Health and DCRA to check on the licensing. That business continues to present numerous problems to the community. And since that is in Ms. Shropshire's single-member district, I would expect her to, continue to coordinate with those agencies to provide you and your residents with some relief. Yes, ma'am. And then we're gonna segue to Mr. Jones, who has to leave. Yes.
Okay, my concern is litter.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned, there is a law against littering, but it hasn't been implemented. For instance, I live on High Street, right a little bit east, I guess, of Safeway and Aldi. So you have people dropping their papers from Safeway. Can you hear me? So you have folks dropping their newspapers, shop guides from Safeway, from Aldi, kids walking up the street, Aldi cleaning, they drop their litter. You have cars passing by, dropping their litter. So much littering. Now nobody, the government, nobody cleans the sidewalk, nobody cleans the streets. So who is supposed to take care of our streets? So I have been putting trash bags on the trees, and I found out recently you're not supposed to put nails. And where I come from in the islands, that's not against the law, nails, because they actually put iron in the trees and helps the fruit. Anyway, so I went and I took down the big black bags and I put some smaller white bags, and it really helped a lot. So many people walk by and say, thank you, but of course they're not picking up, but they thank you. You have residents, they will walk out their door, they won't even pick up the trash. But that's okay, because I live there and I want my environment to be clean. But lo and behold, a gentleman from the Department of Works had seen me 2 years ago, and he asked where I was putting the trash. When I told him, he said he would try to help me, but he never said anything about the bags being illegal. And lo and behold, my neighbor, he was just issued a fine. So to me, that's not right, because you are not taking care of your job. We're trying to do something and you're fining us. What are we supposed to do? Just leave the place trashy so we can just drop garbage? So they need to put up some signs stating that the litter is against the law and there's imprisonment and fine. If you do that, then you don't have to worry about putting trash cans and that.
Thank you. I see you, Commissioner Lewis. I want to say, first I want to acknowledge you, Mr. Bolden, Commander Porter, and other members of the audience who participated in the cleanup, one of many cleanups that we've had in that area back in December. We ended the new year cleaning. I've been cleaning ever since. Mr. Bolden, you've come out on a couple of occasions. Every day, that corridor, and we're talking about, Mr. Jones, the 700 to 800 blocks of 19th Street and the 1800 blocks of I Street, and even 1900 block to a lesser extent.
Yes.
We want to make sure, and I also had a walkthrough with DPW representatives, a very extensive walkthrough, and we asked for enforcement. It's a mess. My cell phone is loaded up with pictures, and we want to make sure that we need littering signs, no littering signs, we need enforcement, and that pilot program for the dog signs, they started putting up the signs, but back last year, this commission requested, since everyone had those concerns, that we put those no dog poop signs up throughout 5D, and that's in every single member district, to make sure that people understand what the rules are. So we want to make sure that our quality of life continues to improve, and we can't do that if there's trash everywhere. And I'm happy to report that on March 1st, DPW will start cleaning the streets again, and we can't wait for that. But in the meantime, we ask citizens to be extra diligent. Again, I clean over there. I don't live on 19th Street. I clean over there every day. Every single day. We have drug dealers, as you know, Commander Porter, and they're constantly throwing trash, and it's a battle. So Mr. Jones is hearing that. Quickly, Commissioner Lewis, and then we're going to give the floor to you, Mr. Jones. Yes.
Maybe somebody actually takes a piece of paper and they shred it into tiny bits. I mean, and then drop it on the ground. So I
Yeah.
have to takes me a while to pick up all these things.
We
I
can
mean,
believe
what does this say? Are they doing this purposely?
Yes.
Or unconsciously?
No, that's deliberate. It's disrespect. Yes, Commissioner Lewis?
One of the things, because I had a trash issue, I still have a trash issue, but one of the things that I did, it's a nuisance to some people, but I find it to be effective. You, along with your commissioner, apply for trash cans for your streets. And you could
There you
do
go.
311, and it might take a while, but get the trash cans on the blocks, and if they're there, more likely the people will put the trash in the trash cans than just on the street. And also with the fines, you can actually appeal it. And what I would do, detail everything that has happened and send it to the address that's on the letter, and then DPW has to respond to it. Likely they will not respond, and your friend and yourself will have to pay the fine.
Mr. Howland, the director of DPW, he said that we couldn't get trash cans in these public places because it creates an additional collection schedule and an additional cost. So that's an issue we certainly like to appeal. And without further ado, we want to stay on point. Mr. Jones, would you introduce yourself
Oh,
and
absolutely.
share some quick remarks, please?
Well, first of all, thank you, Commissioner, and thank to all the commissioners for allowing me this opportunity. So my name is Tommy Jones. I am one of two Ward 5 representatives. Thank you. I am one of your Ward 5 representatives here for this area. My wife and I, we live in Fort Lincoln, so we are.
All right.
So we are Ward 5. We go to church here in Ward 5. So we've made it our home to be in Ward 5.
Okay.
So part of my role here today is to talk about some of the things that are going on in the mayor's office. My job is to work in the mayor's office of community affairs. And so I'm going to talk to you about a few of those things. Then we're going to just talk briefly about how you can get me your constituent concerns. I wrote down many of the concerns. So I was sitting in the back row there, and me and Jake were saying, hey, how you doing? Getting to know my other Ward 5 member here. But more importantly, I was writing down your concerns.
Give us your phone number.
Yeah, so my phone number is 202-535-1937. That gets myself or Malik Williams. My email directly is tomie.jones@dc.gov. 202-535-1937. Okay, email is tomie.jones, Jones, @dc.gov. So that's a way to get me, try to make sure that I answer them as quickly as possible. We're working on some issues that people have. So it's a process, but we're getting there, and we try to handle constituent concerns, problems, situations throughout for everyone here in Ward 5. So, the first thing is, wanted to let you know about the mayor's budget engagement sessions that she has coming up. I'm just going to sort of pass these around here. And we probably
Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Jones, while you're doing that, anyone that has not signed in, is there anyone that needs a copy of the agenda? Thank you. Please make sure you sign in. Thank you so much.
Probably some of you documents already.
They're already in the back.
Okay. So also, we have in the mayor's office, we have a sign up. And if you didn't sign up, this is our way of connecting with you. Anytime the mayor's out or in the community in Ward 5, we like to make sure that we have your information. This also helps me for some individuals, like when you said a constituent concern and I heard you, I actually take this and sort of do it the old-fashioned way, put a star by it. So that's my way of connecting. Like for you, ma'am, I remember putting the email here, so I remember to come back, talk with you about your issue. Probably will call you and say, hey, what was that issue? Make sure you're on the same page with your commission, okay? So if you can, just sign that as well. So just a couple other things. as I mentioned, the mayor is having 3 community engagement sessions on the budget. That's the big priority right now. And so you'll see and hear more information about that. Also, just want to make sure that you're aware we are handling some of these constituent concerns. We work daily with your commissioners, the commander as well, on some of the MPD issues. We see many of those things that are coming out, and we want to let you know that we're here to support you and help you in any way to connect with government. And are there any questions that in the limit of time, because there's many things on the agenda, if there is not a pressing issue that needs my attention, like right now to write down, if not, I'd ask you email me or call.
What's your phone number again?
My phone number is 202-535-1937. Email is TOMMIE, my parents were unique, .jones@jones@dc.gov. So I'll be here for a few more minutes, and then from there I have to go to another meeting, but I just wanted to make sure that I came here and talked to this group as well earlier.
Thank you, and this is a new year. We expect all of these issues to get resolved, so thank you. Yes, Mr. Roberts?
Mr. Jones, could you, I heard a number of issues that sound like potentially 311 issues.
Yes.
And so we had this conversation with the folks from Capitol Friends at an S&D meeting. Could you very briefly talk about what can be 311 and what happens when someone submits a request?
So, thank you, good point. So a lot of times, when you have a general, classic example, there's a tree that's fallen in my area and I like DPW to come and pick up this tree. So that's probably one of the many issues that I can think of. 311. 311 gives you a tracking number. So that number helps you as well as it helps us. So you say, well, it's been a couple weeks and this tree is still sitting in my lawn, and I really don't like that tree sitting in my lawn. Mr. Jones, this tree is still sitting in my lawn, and this is what I use to call 311. Here's the tracking number. So for myself, I'm able to go in, work with the Department of Public Works and say, hey, Paul, where's the status on this? And we move forward. It's your way, your record as well, to make sure that you've done the first step. And then the second step is working with your commissioner or working with me, and we try to get that resolved.
Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize former Commissioner India Henderson. Would you just please stand briefly? Just say hi and keep moving. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Commissioner Pettigay Lewis, please note, accept my public apology for misspelling your name. I'm a stickler on making sure that people's names are spelled correctly, because that's one of the primary ways that we can show that we respect each other as individuals. So I do apologize, and I assure you won't happen again, ma'am. Don't take me to the woodshed.
Thank you. Madam Chair, mine is misspelled too.
Okay, well, we will confer to make sure that I have the correct spelling of your. You know what? I think I inconsistently spelled your name correctly, and because someone pointed out that there's no C in your name.
I think Keisha is K-E-I.
Gotcha. Okay. Please let the record reflect that going forward, I apologize for misspelling Commissioner Shropshire's name, and going forward, that won't happen again. So thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to ask Commander Porter to please come forward and provide us with the usual public safety report, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
The meetings are normally well attended, but it's exceptionally great to see everyone tonight. Very well attended.
Oh, yes.
Very well. I'd like to welcome the new commissioners, Commissioner Lee and Commissioner Iman Bugs. I don't think I've had the opportunity to welcome you. So welcome. Welcome. I'll start with 19th and I, just to give you guys an update. You mentioned what happened a couple of weeks ago. So what we found out from the whole incident essentially was the juveniles, 3 of which were riding in a stolen vehicle, a couple of stolen vehicles. Apparently they were zipping up and down the neighborhood, I guess, throughout that afternoon. They happened to zip up 19th Street. They went into an alley. Apparently somebody in the alley took exception to them speeding through the alley and fired at them. And so they crashed the cars on they get out and they run south across Benton Road, which is where they live, to go home. And so they were not seriously injured at all. All three of them were placed under arrest. All of the vehicles were stolen. So they were all juveniles, unfortunately.
And Commander Porter, like I said, I was on the scene. Mr. Tommy Jones is on the scene. I came with them and Malik Williams, and I'm very pleased with the swift police response that incident garnered, because my constituents, a number of my constituents, including Ms. Barnes, were very upset about that issue.
Yes.
So we were glad that you all were on the point.
We tried. Well, we didn't.
Yes.
You know, initially we didn't know whether or not they were actually victims. You know,
Right.
they were victims in
Right.
a sense, and we still have not determined who was actually shooting at them. But they were victims, even when they stole someone else's vehicle.
Thank you.
But in reference to the 800 block, 900 block of 19th Street, as well as 19th and I, that is something that we have been working with. Unfortunately, those issues did not just happen overnight, and so it is taking some effort. Commissioner Henderson has been very helpful. But we are actually working on those. We have some undercover things that we're doing that I really can't talk about, but we are actually working on, some operations in that particular area.
And God bless you. God bless you.
So we are doing that. We are aware of Roses in Stanton Liquors. Roses has been calling us now because we went in and did a walkthrough. Well, because we went in with DCRA, we went in with Amber and did a walkthrough. So part of the issue is, even with Stanton Liquors, they allow the people that congregate outside to also congregate inside. And so I think they have a vested interest in kind of what's going on, that they might be a little duplicative in what they are allowing to occur, and they call us. So we do have, like tonight for instance, we have outside units that get deployed to 5D. One of their assignments is the 800 to the 900 block of Bladesburg Road, because that is one of our issues. So we are working on that issue, and we have to work more with the other agencies to just enforce some of the regulations to the store owners to make it more difficult for them, and hopefully make them do what it is that they need to do. Okay? So that's a couple of issues that you addressed. ANC covers 2 PSAs in the 5th District, PSA 506 as well as PSA 507. So I'll do 506. 506 for the most part is having an increase in crime, both property and violent crime. And some of the increase is due to, unlike 507, 507 has an increase in ADWs, but most of their ADWs is violent crime. And 506 is really not violent crime, it's people who are known associates that might be shooting at each other or hurting each other. And so that's a bit different than what the increase is for assault with deadly weapons in 507. Sexual abuses are down in both PSAs. Robberies are up. We have about 7 more than we had this time last year. And in 507, robberies are down 65%. Motor vehicle thefts in 506 are up. We know that some of these motor vehicle thefts are really occurring in some of our business areas. And so we know that part of that, we have to target the business areas where we have business where people are doing business. We have to focus on that. PSA 507, motor vehicle thefts are down, burglaries are down. Theft from autos are up. We have 1 more this year than we had last year, and thefts are up. And we know that the thefts are really these corner stores and the smaller stores. What happens? The kids come in, they take a candy bar, they take a soda, and then they run out, and then we take the theft. So it's really pretty much minor thefts, and they're all centered around the business areas. Yes.
When you make these arrests for these individuals on Bladesburg Road, do you find that they live in the neighborhood? Are they our neighbors, or are they coming into the neighborhood to do these, to make these transactions or to transact their business?
A lot of the people that we arrest live or grew up. They might not still live here, because a lot of people leave, like the 19th Street block corridor. Yes. They grew up in the neighborhood, they left, and so they come back to hang out. This is what they're familiar with. And so we do find that even if they don't live here now, that they have lived here at one point or other. Any other questions? I just want to say.
Is there anything you can do about that since they don't live there?
No. There's nothing. Look,
Mr. Bolden, what Commander Porter said earlier about them working on that corridor, they're working on that corridor. That foolishness that we have to live with every day, it will be gone shortly. We have my commitment, we have Commander Porter's commitment.
But we are working on, but really there's nothing, just like out-of-state tags, a lot of people who don't live here, they used to live here, so they come and hang out in their block. If there are no parking restrictions, we can't tell them you can't be here because you're not from DC and you've been here too long. That we can't do anything. We can't do anything about people coming back to the neighborhoods that they used to be in. So
unless we want to apply for residential parking,
yes,
then we can limit their visits to not more than two hours on any calendar day.
So there is an option of doing that. The only, becomes an inconvenience because then your family members and we have to enforce it. So, I mean, that's something that you could take up with your commissioners. But while I'm here, I want to tell you, if you have internet access and you are not on the 5D listserv, I would recommend that you join our 5D listserv. If you go to the 5D homepage, at the very bottom of it is a community email discussion group. You click on that, and if you join that, what it gives you every day is the arrest for the previous 24 hours, and it also gives you our crimes for the previous 24 hours, and they're all listed by PSA. And if you see something on there that you have a question about, say you see a robbery that occurred in your neighborhood, if you respond and ask, can I have more information? Now, there's only so much information we can give you. We can't give you the victim's information. We never give a specific address. We always give 100 blocks. But if you want to know like the particulars, did the person know the victim? Is it random? Is it targeted? Then if you click on that and you respond to it, then that goes directly to me and the 5D officials that are working, the management officials, and they will respond to any inquiries. So that's another option that you have that you could pull up on your own all day long. And even if you have a question, if you post it on the listserv, somebody will respond to that question. Yes.
I have a question. I think that whatever that email is, it kind of updates you on, say, DC crime or whatever.
Yes.
What I noticed, again, I live on the 1600 block of Weaver Street. There are incidents that happen there, shootings and things, that never makes it to that list.
So two ways.
Never might be a little long, but more. It's kind of interesting to me that it'll be like, I'll see the crime tape, see all this stuff happening, and then that little blurb will come out, and it won't report what happened.
So there are a couple of ways that we report information right away. There are a couple of ways. We're on Twitter. Twitter and Facebook is normally manned by somebody in our central information center, our command information center. So those people, what they do is they listen to the radio. If a robbery comes out, they'll post something. If a shooting comes out, they'll post something. So they're the ones who post it to pretty much Twitter and Facebook. If something happens, like if we have a shooting, if it's coming out on the 5D listserv, then that means that somebody from the district internally is posting it on the 5D listserv. Sometimes when we have shootings or scenes that are developing, like a few months ago, we had something to go on at 16th and Levis, and then a couple of blocks down at 16th and Oaks. Nobody's going to post that because everybody's on the street trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, but you would think that even after the fact, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not that much of a news hog that it's like, oh, as soon as it happens, because heck, I'm right there, I can see something happen.
It would get posted. It would get posted the following day, and I'm going to tell you how it gets posted. It gets posted the following day in that email that comes out on the listserv that lists all crime and it lists all the rest. So, for instance, if there's a shooting, even if we didn't post it on the listserv, that is normally classified as an ADW done, and it will come out the next day on the reported crime for that particular PSA. So it always comes out. We do a daily crime report, and any Part 1 offense, which means those serious crimes, always gets posted the next day in that report. So if you subscribe to the listserv for 5D, you will definitely get it. I can guarantee that. And on the
this email, because maybe that's not the listserv.
it is not. It is not
Okay.
the listserv.
Thank you. Any other concerns for Commander Porter, Commissioners, Commissioner Roberts?
Commander Porter, I'm looking over the list of community concerns that were raised in the beginning and thinking like there's a lot of stuff here that is going to be long-term solutions, but one of the ones that sticks out to me is Ms. Hunt's concerns about the speeding on Ford Ave. a solution for the Florida Ave problem?
I don't, the problem with Florida Avenue, you probably need to look at that, because you have to have a safe place to pull people over. It has to be safe enough so that an officer pulls somebody over, it doesn't tie up the entire Florida Avenue. And that is one of the issues. So we can look into that. We do have, officers that we kind of designate as traffic officers. And so normally if I get a traffic complaint, like 12th and Hamilton, the 1700 block of Benning Road, normally once or twice a week we'll put an officer, and it's normally with staffing, when our staffing allows it. But what we'll do is put 1 or 2 officers out in the different locations, and we'll have them do enforcement. We'll have them stand out there and write tickets. They can do speeding, so speeding is something that we can do on Florida Avenue.
Yes, Commissioner Lewis.
Okay, when you guys confer on the streets that are in my SMD, can I be included in the conversation, please?
What do you mean when we
Or
confer?
it's about my Olivet Road. Nothing you've done, just for the commissioners to know, it's common courtesy to inform the other commissioners when you're discussing streets within someone else's SMD. Nothing you've done.
Oh, you know, okay.
Nothing you've done, but, you know, traffic signs are gonna go on my street, I should know that. So, it's nothing you've done.
And that's appropriate. I think, and I just want to piggyback on what Commissioner Lewis has said. We want to take pride in our single member districts, and to proactively represent the interests of our constituents. And so I would ask, as chairperson of this commission, that each commissioner actively own their single member district and every person therein. And anytime there's an opportunity to confer with the district officials about issues that benefit public safety, that we make sure that we stick to our single member district. There's enough to keep each of us busy in our own single member district so that we don't have to go outside of that looking to resolve other issues. So anyway, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
It's not just speeding on Florida Avenue, it's stopping for pedestrians.
Yes.
For at the crosswalk.
I did get that, and that's gonna, Mr. Jones is here tonight, and so that's what we, and your commissioner, that's what we all do together. We work with DPW, work with DDOT to say these are the issues. Can you do a traffic study? That's one thing that can be done. We can request that DDOT do a traffic study for that intersection, and then when they do that, they kind of come up with some solutions, tell us what the issues are. So that is something that's doable.
Yeah.
And Commander Porter, could you announce your meeting that you're having with the commissioners?
Yes. So, it's our next time. So, well, okay, so it's specifically for the ANC commissioners. And so what I've done is, I've been at 5D about a year now, and I'm just getting to the point where I feel like I can breathe a little bit. And so I really wanted to take the time to actually meet with my commissioners, all of them from 5D, and that's about 30 of them total. But just to kind of come together, to kind of come together, because some of my commissioners think that everything is all about their single member district, when I have to be concerned for the entire 5th district. And so what I want to do is bring them all together to see if we can come up with some common concerns and priorities that we can all focus on together, and so that we can get some actual goals accomplished. And then hopefully they can work with each other, because really commissioners have issues that go across lines. Yeah. Some commissioners will work in another commissioner's, like single member district. Commissioner Henderson was in Trinidad with us at the late summer and the winter, even before Commissioner Shropshire was voted into office, and we were all doing a walkthrough, and that's not even her single member district. So that is the point of the upcoming forum, to just kind of focus a little bit, to be a little bit more proactive, and hopefully get the commissioners working all together so that we can all get some wins.
All right, thank you. Are there any other concerns for Commander Porter before we move to the next item on the agenda? Thank you, Commander Porter. Appreciate it. Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Commissioner Shropshire to give the Treasurer's report, but there's a qualification. I understand that, Commissioner, you don't have the financial records as yet, so we can do this one of two ways. Either I can pass this statement to you and you can read it into the record, or I will do it. But this is, let the record reflect that this is a copy, the most recent copy of the financial statement, the bank statement for ANC5D. This is the original I understand, I want to acknowledge, and I was remiss in my acknowledging my government partners. Mr. Perry, who is the Deputy Director of the DC Auditor's Office, would you please stand? Ms. Frederica Shaw and Ms. Anovia Daniels, could you please stand so that we can recognize you? And thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. They work hard, and then they've joined us this evening, and we appreciate that. So again, either Commissioner Shropshire, if it's your pleasure, you can read the statement. After you read the statement, I would ask that you give it to Mr. Daniels, who has, I see you came in with that green TD Bank bag. So am I correct in assuming those are our records?
Yes.
All right, so he will put this statement with those records, and you and he can coordinate a time. I'm assuming he's gonna give everything to you tonight, so that going forward, we can do what we need to do.
So just to say that I don't have, you have the statement, but I don't have a treasury report since we haven't secured a security fund at this point. So I will give you the pleasure of reading the statement since I haven't had a chance to look at it. Okay, thank you, appreciate that. So just very quickly, our opening balance was $46,335.04. We had check number 158 for 6888, 159 for 5403, check number 160 for $3.37, check number 161 for $4.12, check number 162 for $148.77, and check 173 for $51.63, check number 174 for $4.21, check number 176 for $10.95, and check number 177 for $25, with an ending balance of $45,712.03. And actually, that's your treasurer's report. So we can talk about making your format for your treasurer's report. But again, yeah, I'm going to training at February 21st.
Perfect. And I'll be there with you. All right, very good. I would like to. Can I finish? Thank you. At this time, I'd like to, I make a motion that we approve the treasurer's report. Is there a second?
I second it.
Any discussion? Commissioner Roberts?
Could you just repeat the opening balance?
$46,335.04.
Okay, I guess I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
According to the minutes from January, which I know we've not reviewed yet, the ending balance there is $46,360. So I guess my question is, why would this number be different?
We'll reconcile that. The information is taken straight from the statements. So there may be some overlap with a check that may have been on the January statement and December statements. But of course, these discrepancies don't represent any actual problem with our finances. Okay. Any further discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 Any opposed?
No.
So is that
Any
opposition or?
Commissioner Lewis. Any opposed? Roberts? Any abstentions? The motion passes. At this time, I would like to ask Commissioner Shropshire, since you are the treasurer, for a motion for the commission to participate in the ANC Security Fund.
I can't make that motion.
I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
Any discussion? Are you ready for the question? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
No.
Let me just make sure I capture this. Please raise your hand if you oppose. motion fails. At this time, Mr. Perry, would you care to make any brief remarks?
Well, I guess I can explain to the community what the security fund is. It's basically the ANC.
Can you come forward?
Sure. The ANC has to choose to elect to participate in the security fund. It's a $25 fee each year, and basically, I'm not sure if you all remember ANC5D, where the former commissioner Shelton has absconded with the funds. What the security fund does is it makes the ANC, it allows them to continue to operate while they're asking for a reimbursement. And Commissioner Shelton actually has to pay back the funds. Now, if you choose not to participate in the security fund, you have to come up with your own bond.
How much is a bond? How much is a bond? What's the approximate cost of a bond?
No one's ever done it before, so I don't know.
Is it? I've heard it's in excess of $1,000.
Yes, it's in excess of $1,000, and both the treasurer and the chairperson have to post this bond. The other thing is, although we have your financial records here, and you all can still write checks for. Let me finish, please. You can still write checks, however, they will be disallowed once you submit them. So, as you did, took a proactive approach to securing the funds, we took a proactive approach to freeze the accounts.
And thank you very much.
The ANC, because what can happen is, even though the ANC spends the money, the community loses the use of the money. So until you all can get this resolved of a bond or security, participation in the security fund, I would recommend that the account stay frozen.
And that underscores my request. When I transitioned all of the financial records to the DC auditor on January 26th, I made the specific request that I turn in the checkbook and that the DC auditor's office retain that checkbook until such time as this commission does its due diligence and duty to participate in the ANC Security Fund. Unfortunately, once again, we are in violation of that rule, and as you heard from Mr. Perry, it's unheard of for commissions not to participate in this fund, which actually protects you. So what does that mean? We're not writing any checks. So the flyers that some of us put out, for your information. Now, I've taken a proactive position to continue to serve my constituents because I enjoy serving my constituents. And I have gone down to the DC Council and I've made the rounds for the DC Council offices to get my flyers printed, since this commission is not in a position of approving the ANC Security Fund to allow us to spend your tax dollars on you. So thank you, Mr. Perry, and please note that I am handing you the original copy of our bank statement, and I will trust that you will aggregate that with the rest of our bank statements, and at such time, and I see you, Mr. Bolden.
And please know that the records are in our office. If anybody wants to come down and view the records or what have you, feel free to make an appointment with Ms. Shaw or Ms. Daniels to review those.
And I must admit, both Ms. Shaw and Ms. Daniels have been very helpful in undertaking our duties. Mr. Bolden, and then I see you, Mr. Roberts. Mr. Bolden.
I saw a number of commissioners voting against this, and I was wondering if we could hear from them on why they would vote against it.
I think it's a valid question. We'll start with our treasurer, Commissioner Shropshire.
So previously we asked for records, for which they brought the records this evening. We haven't had a chance to look at any documents prior to now, as it was indicated that they actually they brought that tonight. We would like to have an opportunity to take a look at the financial records. We got a report on a bank statement, but we haven't had a chance to look at that, and I think that we should have the right to do that, being that we be brought up to speed on the business and also the financial status of where we are. And so I think that's only fair. And me as the treasurer, if I have to put my name saying that I'm going to be liable to doing anything, be responsible for the funds, I feel that I should be given that right. So that's why I voted against it. I can't speak for the other commissioners.
before we continue, the question was to hear from the commissioners that voted against. We're gonna allow that first, and then Commissioner Lewis, you will be allowed to respond. So thank you. Commissioner Buggs?
I voted against because the treasurer has not had an opportunity to do the statements, and neither have any of the commissioners that's sitting here other than Commissioner Henderson, and I'm not sure about Commissioner Lewis.
Commissioner Lee?
And I also, because as she said, due diligence. So I can't approve something that I haven't seen. So I haven't had an opportunity to do the due diligence because I haven't had an opportunity to review the reports. So I voted also against it to freeze the funds.
Commissioner Roberts?
I won't waste everyone's time with just repeating that I echo the aforementioned concerns. And just if Mr. Perry could possibly address this, I know that in the email that we all received, he indicated there were 2 reasons for the account, for the frozen account. I was wondering if you might just briefly share the contents of that.
Before we, Mr. Perry, we're continuing, we need to hear from Ms. Blacknell, then we'll hear from Ms. Lewis, Commissioner Lewis, and then we'll hear your response.
Good evening, my name is Commissioner Bernice Blacknell, and I'm in agree with the the new ANC commissioners, and I'm not gonna take up anybody's time.
Commissioner Lewis?
Why?
She agrees. Let's just take it at what
Well,
she
Commissioner
says.
Blacknell can speak for herself. Commissioner
That's
Lewis?
what she said though. They shouldn't bug her about her work. I'm having a hard time hearing from my fellow commissioners that they have not had the time to review the documents since it's been with the auditor since the 26th. I'm quite proactive. If I really wanted to see those reports, I would have seen them before tonight's meeting. So all of this of saying they haven't seen documents, to me, and I'm just speaking for myself, it's another excuse for their agenda. They don't want to sign the document, that's fine. You know, but don't say the documents were withheld from you guys. You guys are not doing your due diligence.
I would second that. The chair does not recognize you, Ms. Shropshire.
Okay.
I'm speaking, I have the floor, thank you.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a good meeting. We're going to continue to have a very civil discussion, and I applaud you, for remaining calm. But frankly, I'm at a loss. Nothing I've heard here is compelling tonight about why my colleagues have failed to do their public duty to vote for the ANC Security Fund. The ANC Security Fund, as Mr. Perry indicated, it protects the commission from theft. So if you have any concerns about misappropriation of funds, it's an insurance. It's like a $25 insurance fund to reimburse the commission in the event of theft. In addition to the former chairperson for 5D, we're now 5D. Because of redistricting, we're 5D instead of 5B. But I raised concerns about Commissioner Shelton, and those concerns fell on deaf ears until he had drained the account. And I am very, very glad that there are safeguards in place to protect public funds. And I reaffirm my decision to turn over all the reports to the DC Auditor's Office, including the checkbook, to protect your funds. And I'm just waiting for my colleagues to do their jobs. It's one thing to say you don't understand the process, you need training, but do your job. Those records have been in that office since January 26th. Mr. Perry has taken the time, which is above and beyond the call of duty, to bring those documents here tonight, and we still have a failure to perform. So with that, I'm going to rest. I think, and Mr. Perry, you're going, and I see you, Ms. Johnson. So Mr. Perry first, then Ms. Johnson, and then we're going to move on. Mr. Perry, did you want to address something?
Yeah, what was your question again? I'm sorry.
In the email that you sent to us a couple days ago, there were 2 concerns you raised about why you chose to freeze the account. And I think we heard from you about the first reason, but we didn't hear from you about the second reason.
And the second reason, there appeared to be...
Mr. Perry, can you stand up, please?
There appeared to be some issues around the vote on the officers. And so until I could get resolution on that, I took the proactive step of freezing the account. And especially because the ANC chose not to participate in the security fund. And there was no bond put forth by any of the newly elected officers. So until that can be done, I'd be remiss in what I do in protecting, and I think it's what, 46,000.
You have the statement.
Yeah, 46,000. So
And thank you. Ms. Johnson?
I would like to think that the ANC commissioners represent the constituents and residents of the city. And it embodies our district, our city limit district. What I do not understand, does the ANC commission have higher authority than the DC auditors? If the auditors say that everything has been reconciled, why is the elected commissioners that we put you all in a position to challenge the district government and failing to do your due diligence? You know, it's the same as we took our faith to put you in office, and the fact that you could hold up the progress of our money to be spent on things that are needed in the community is a total failure. When you have the DC auditor office who has oversight of all of the money.
I have a question. The chair does not recognize you.
Okay.
Commissioner. Is there anyone else with concerns?
I have a concern.
The chair's not recognizes you.
I have
Ms.
a
Nash,
concern.
and then Commissioner Shropshire, and then Mr. Martin. Ms. Nash? Did your name Nash, ma'am?
No, it's Deborah, but that's fine.
I'm sorry.
I just,
Yes, the chair
that's fine,
recognizes
that's fine. I just wanna know, okay, so based on what we've heard so far, too, I guess the people that voted no, that if after this or something, is there gonna be can there be another vote or something like that? Once you had an opportunity to see this, then maybe by the next meeting or whatever you decide, can we then have a vote?
You'll have my commitment that I will make the motion at every meeting until this commission properly seconds that and actually votes for the ANC Security Fund. Mr. Montague, then Commissioner Lewis, then Commissioner Shropshire. Mr. Montague?
I just want to say that I listened. I heard not one valid reason to question from a financial standpoint. There is nothing at risk, as I see, for signing off on things given to you. Pick whatever date you like as long as it doesn't flow to the past. There is nothing any commissioner on that dais is signing for. And the auditor has, when was the last time an audit was done?
I'll have to check our records.
I'm sorry.
Can you speak up, Ms. Shaw?
Only been in existence for 2 years.
Yeah, the last one was done when the commission was fired. And it was,
So, what I'm really asking for is I'm asking for somebody to give me a valid reason to explain what it is they think they're at risk for.
Okay, wait, I see some hands. Commissioner Lewis, then Commissioner Shropshire, and then I see the hands in the back, and then we'll end with you, Commissioner Lewis.
Okay, my first comment is I hear repeatedly that people can't vote or commissioners can't vote because of election results. In my mind, and I might be looking at this incorrectly, the auditor's office does not have any jurisdiction on elected officers.
Right.
So if that is a case or issue, it needs to be a lawsuit or to the Attorney General's. So that is not a valid point of saying that's one of the reasons our account is frozen. I understand it being frozen because we don't have a security fund in place. And my next comment, we've had a security fund for 2013 and 2014. So in essence, if any misdeed has been done, the commission was protected already. So if Commissioner Henderson stole some money, or if the treasurer stole some money, it was covered. So what is at stake now, and we're not writing any checks, is going forward. So all of these commissioners here that are saying, you know, we can't vouch for what has happened, you're not vouching for anything that has happened because we were already protected. What's going forward is the case. So I don't understand if they just don't understand the process, they're not reading, they're not going to training, or what have you. But I think they need to be clear on the process and that it's going forward, because all checks previously were covered.
And the office of
So
the attorney,
I
see you,
give me
I see you, please.
And I was
Just
actually
wait.
before Panic.
Again.
No, you weren't.
Order, wait a minute. Order, please. Order.
Thank you.
The Office of the Attorney General, Commissioner Lewis.
Order, please.
The Office of the Attorney General is in the process of issuing a written opinion that the DC Auditor nor any district government agency may take any position on the elections of any commission. So that is forthcoming. The chair recognizes Commissioner Shropshire.
So I have a couple of things to say. I first want to ask, I will be brief. I want to ask Anovia Daniels, who I actually consulted with, and you informed me that the documents were turned in to you on the 26th, but they didn't have supporting documents, and that you would bring that to the meeting tonight for me to be able to review those things. I think it's only fair if I'm going to be putting my name on it. I clearly understand what my responsibilities are, and that's why I can't rubber stamp what's been done before. It's no, I'm going to training, I'm not unaware of what my responsibilities are, and I think it's only fair. Another thing is that there was another reason which Mr. Perry mentioned, is that there was a concern about the elections that were held at our first meeting in January. Yes, there are concerns because there were some parliamentary requirements that weren't observed by all the people. Some people were not allowed to vote. And so that's some of the concerns that haven't been brought out in the public. So I'm bringing it out. So it's not just that we do not want to allow us to have funds to be signed for, or even approve of a security fund. We were informed that we would be able to participate in the security fund at another time once we have an opportunity to review these documents. So we're not saying we don't want a security fund. We are in support of that. It's just that, can we be given an opportunity to review the documents?
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson.
Good evening, everyone.
Please be brief.
I'll be very brief. In regards to how you're supposed to perform the duties as a treasurer, I was very thankful that I served in that position while I wasn't an advisory neighborhood commissioner as a treasurer, because that's what I do in my private time as a personal accountant. And each and every single month, when you're getting ready to give a full report for all of your constituents, you always have to go through that treasurer's report. Now, I hear that the new commissioners say they have concerns about viewing documentation. I do totally agree. Anything that you happen to sign, you need to thoroughly view the documentation, digest the documentation, and make sure that every time at the beginning of your advisory commission meeting of the whole, you're able to give an accurate report. But seeing how these funds are secured with the bank accounts and with Ms. Frederica Shaw and Novia Daniels, I will say I used to work with you all a lot, and they do an excellent job. So I'm just saying that if you guys as a commission are not going to participate in the security fund, I am in full agreement that the account should be frozen. Don't do anything with the funds.
That's right. Thank
Because
you.
if we're not going to do it the right way, don't do it at all.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think what you've heard here tonight is this is democracy in action. We've not heard any compelling reason why this commission has failed yet again to vote for the ANC Security Fund. If commissioners are unhappy about the election results, this is not the forum to address that. There is no issue with the election. The DC Auditor is not empowered in any way to address the election of officers for this commission or any other. And that will be made crystal clear to Ms. Kathleen Perry. I'm sorry, not Kathleen Perry. I'm sorry, Kathleen Patterson, who is the DC Auditor, our Deputy Auditor, Mr. Lawrence Perry, Ms. Frederica Shaw, Ms. Novia Daniels, and all the staff. So again, advisory neighborhood commissioners are elected. They answer only to the citizens, and that is you. That is you. And that'll be the final word, and we're going to move on to the next matter. We're gonna move on, we're going to move on, Commissioner
On the
Lee.
record for the minutes, but there's something to correct the minutes, so they're stated correctly. Is that,
You can address that to the secretary.
okay, former commissioner?
Actually,
I think the public needs to know that too.
Needs to know what?
That it's former commissioner.
Well, thank you for that.
And you live right now, where do you reside? You reside within the 5th district?
You don't
5D?
have property in 5D.
No, do you
Yes, I'm
reside in
16.
the
You know what? You're out of order, Commissioner. That's inappropriate.
Order.
That's so inappropriate. We're going to have order.
please?
Order.
Please?
Order. I got you. At this time, you've had an opportunity to read the January 13 minutes and the well, we can take them separately. The January 13th. Is there a motion to approve the January 13th minutes?
actually, Commissioner, I'd like to make a motion to table the minutes because I have not had time to review either the January 13th minutes or the January 23rd minutes, and I'm not sure if any other commissioners had an opportunity to do that either. I can't make some.
Commissioner Lewis. Commissioner, calm down. Calm down. Calm down. Just calm down. Let me just say this. Ladies and gentlemen, I took the minutes for the January meeting because our newly elected secretary, Commissioner Yvonne Muggs, was not prepared to take the minutes. She said she didn't have a pen. She didn't take the minutes. I took the minutes. They're provided to you. We had a special meeting that was 30 minutes in its entirety, simply to vote for the ANC Security Fund. That motion failed. Commissioner Buggs did not attend that meeting, so I took the minutes for those. I am not opposed to tabling the minutes so that we can give the commissioners, I guess Commissioner Buggs, is there anyone else that needs additional time to read and digest the minutes? Commissioner Lewis?
My only comment is, I don't think it's appropriate that, first of all, someone other than the secretary is taking the minutes. And for the secretary not to be proactive enough to have read the minutes, to me, should not delay the process of voting for it. I understand that we're going to do that, but going forward, if the secretary does not take the minutes, please make the effort to read the minutes before we get here so that they can be voted upon. The minutes also has to be sent to the auditor's office.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna end discussion and move on. We're going to move on. There's clear, yes, Mr. Perry, very quickly, very briefly.
Oh, just very briefly. I don't want to hold up your meeting. I do want to pass the records on to you. Can we make an appointment for you to come into the office because you'll need to sign for them?
Yes.
But I don't want to hold up.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. And just let the record reflect, it's above and beyond the call of duty for you to come, for you and your staff to come to any public meeting to bring the commission's public documents to that meeting. But thank you, we appreciate that.
I appreciate it.
So we're going to move on at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been doing good. Let's stay focused. I ask that the level 2 development team come forward. And as you, ladies and gentlemen, let the record reflect that Mr. Christensen has just handed out some development plans. There are also other development plans that were on the tables for the commissioners that I brought to the meeting, and this is for the benefit of you, for each of you. The commissioners, your commissioners, are expected to read these plans and to be able to be informed before voting for these development projects. Yes, Ms. Johnson, while they're getting set up, very briefly, please stand, ma'am, so that we can hear you.
How would
sorry, Ms. Johnson.
What is the procedure and protocol for we new residents who voted in our commission? What do we need to know to how to begin any initiative to begin a recall for our commission?
Very briefly, Ms. Johnson, no commissioner may be recalled in their first 6 months in office. So beginning in June, any affected resident who is not happy with the performance of their respective commissioner may contact the Board of Elections and Ethics and initiate the recall process, and we can talk about that at a subsequent date.
Does that include the petition?
Yes, it does, ma'am, and we can talk about that at a future meeting.
Talk to our community.
Yes, yes.
Because with a lot of displeasure, I am sure, from a lot of the residents.
And thank you.
From the January.
Thank you so much. We'll talk about that at a subsequent meeting. Ms. Daniels, while they're setting up, would you had an announcement?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to leave my business card if you guys have any questions or want to make an appointment to come down to see the records and see the pamphlet and all about our responsibilities to ANCs and what we do at the office.
What's your call?
Yes,
Mr.
Okay, that's Mr. Montague.
Just a side question while they're setting up.
Yes.
Do you know how much money that the ANC spent last year? I mean,
It's a ballpark figure without looking at the under $3,000.
It's only a couple $100.
Yeah, it's. I think the total amount spent by the commission is less than $3,000, but certainly, we can.
I'd like to know, just that.
Yes,
It
thank you.
seems like a whole lot of whooping or a little bit of money, that's all I'm saying.
All sound and fury signifying nothing? Yes, I would have to agree. Thank you. Are you all ready?
We're ready.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is David Franco, and I'm joined by John Carden.
David, can you spell your last name for me,
It's
please?
Franco.
Thank you.
And I'm joined by John Carden, Kardon, Todd Christensen. Sounds like it sounds. And my business partner, Jeff Blum from Level 2 Development. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. We're here to present our plans for 320 Florida Avenue Northeast, the site of the Burger King, which is a planned unit development. We were here last month and briefly reviewed our project with you and asked for support in concept for the park amenity, which we're providing as part of our amenities package for the project. It's about a 10,000 square foot lot that's adjacent to the railroad tracks and our property. It's currently an overgrown lot with a lot of trees, weeds, a lot of trash, homeless encampment, and it's our goal to improve the lot to create green space and park for everybody in the community to enjoy. It'll also serve as a pedestrian link from Florida Avenue into the market. We're going to be working with our adjacent property owner, with a new owner, because it's currently for sale. We think it's going under contract soon. And what we will do in working with them is to expand the park, create more green space up off of 3rd Avenue and Morris, creating a much larger park and a really wonderful pedestrian connection into Union Market, furthering the goals of DC as a walkable city, and also create opportunities for people to congregate and enjoy the park that are utilizing what's going to be a future bicycle trail, which is being planned from ID City, which will come through Union Market and connect to the Metropolitan Branch Trail. So we view this as a really important and significant public benefits package, with this commission voted in support of at the last meeting. Since then, we have filed our plan unit development with the Office of Planning, and we believe that we will be set down for a hearing, hearing on March 9th, and then a final hearing sometime in June. I want to briefly take the time to go over some of the main characteristics of the development and answer any questions that you may have. The current zone is CM1, and consistent with the small area plan and the comprehensive plan, we are seeking to do a zone change to C3C, which allows with a PUD up to an 8.0 FAR and a height of 120. Yes.
Franco, can you just explain what FAR is?
Floor area ratio, it's a multiple of the lot size, which determines how much you can build. So our lot sizes, for ease of numbers, let's say it's close to 30,000 square feet, and 8.0 is 8 times the 30,000, or 240,000 square feet. That's round numbers. So it'll allow us to get to an 8.0 FAR with 120 feet of height. The program is for 315 apartments, which will be comprised of studios, 1 and 2 bedrooms. We'll have about 8,500 square feet of neighborhood serving retail. We're hoping to get a bicycle shop that's adjacent to the park and near the Metropolitan Branch Trail. We're also hoping to get a restaurant, neighborhood serving restaurant, similar to like the Bus Boys and Poets, which we brought to Tacoma Central Project, another project of ours, which just opened up in Tacoma Park. We'll have up to 143 parking spaces, where 86 spots are required, and we'll have 105 bicycle spaces at grade in our garage, again furthering the goals of a walkable and cyclable city. I mentioned one of the primary PUD benefits of the park. In addition to that, I also want to say that we did go before as a courtesy before ANC6D for the same vote in support of the park, which they gave us last month. The other public benefit is affordable housing. We are proposing to provide 8% of the residential square footage, approximately 17,500 square feet, as affordable at 80% of the AMI. We're doing smaller units in this project, which allows us to provide more number of units. A typical project of this size would do 16 ADUs, but because of our size, we're providing about 22 to 24 units. We are expanding the sidewalk in front from 7 feet to 25 feet. Again, the goals of walkable city. And we'll have new planes and trees and pedestrian-oriented lighting, not only in the sidewalk, but also in the park. Security was raised as a concern in the park at the last meeting, and we're certainly going to continue to address that to ensure that the community is safe in the park, both during the day and in the evening time.
Excuse me, are you offering any affordable housing at 50% of the AMI?
No, we're not. We're proposing the 8% at AMI, at 80% AMI. This, and the reason is our project is incurring a huge cost in the creation, beautification of the park. When all is said and done with our hard and soft costs, we'll probably be approaching $500,000 in the improvements of the park. We are also providing sustainable design, LEED Silver equivalent design, and we will continue to work with the ANC on other PUD benefits that we can provide to help neighborhood groups and other associations or special interest groups here in Ward 5. Some of the flexibility we're asking for is the rear yard. We're asking for relief there. What's required is 22.88 feet. We're providing 11.2 in some specific areas. John, if you'll help me find that board, please. There are 2 bump outs on the rear of the site, which create a condition of just 11 feet. That's these bump outs right here. Can all commissioners see these conditions?
And can everyone see this?
Right here. Yes, those exactly. Those 2 bump outs right there. Most of the court width is much larger than that, and so 36 feet. So we're just asking for relief in these two areas. We're asking for relief in the court widths. We're supposed to have 35 feet, so we're providing 3 open courts with widths of 25, 12, and 20. We're also asking for corniche relief on our west side. Minor relief there. We don't exactly comply with a 2-to-1 ratio. That's because of our very complex designs, which is adjacent to the property line here. We are asking for relief on compact parking spaces. We are allowed up to 40% compact spaces. We're asking for some relief to go up to 63%. So instead of 57 spaces, we're asking for 90 of our 143 spaces to be compact.
When you say you mean compact cars?
Compact spaces, yeah. Typical space is 19 by 9 foot, and a compact space is 8 by 16. We are also asking for relief loading requirements. We are landlocked, making it very difficult for trucks to come in and out. We also, as everyone knows, big 55-foot tractor trailers are not very common anymore in moving people in and out. A requirement is to have one berth at 55 feet and one at 20 feet for residential, and then one 30-foot retail berth and a loading platform of 100 square feet. What we're proposing to provide is one 30-foot berth, which is one 30-foot berth, one 20-foot berth, and one 200 square foot platform. These are all typical relief that is requested and granted by the Building Commission, and we will seek DDOT's approval for a plan, which we don't see any objection to by DDOT. They've granted it before. In terms of the roof structure, we have some minor requirements. We're required to have a 1-to-1 ratio of equal heights all the way in the back. So at the roof line here, the building has to step back. Thank you. The building has to step back 1-to-1. So for 1 foot, for every foot that the of height here, we have to set the building back. So we comply all the way around except for 2 small corners in the back, or 2 small sections in the back where we don't comply with the 1-to-1.
Is that for mechanical?
Yes, it is. Okay. And that's it for the relief. And finally, I just want, again, I mentioned our timeline. Our final hearing will probably be in June. Construction will start at the end of 2016 and will be open 2018. I just want to mention one final thing, that when we first acquired the site and we were looking at the design and the PUD, and this is what we do in pretty much every project that we go into, we look at how we can improve the neighborhood for the greater good of the community. We did this at D14. People may be familiar with this project on 14th Street. There used to be a tower antenna and about a half a dozen 2-story satellite dishes. John, if you could find that for me real quick. And what we did was, this was a real industrial use over here with the satellite dishes and the tower antenna. And when we spoke to the residents of the community, the unified voice was, get rid of those satellite dishes and get rid of that antenna. And through our PUD, we were able to do that and build the V14 project. Here too, when we looked and started talking to some of the residents, people complained about safety and security with the overgrown lot here. It's very, very dangerous to walk under the underpass. There's not very good lighting. Sidewalks are really narrow. You really have to duck down even to walk on the sidewalk because the trees are so overgrown that even if somebody 4 foot tall will get hit by a branch that is hanging down over the sidewalk. So we view this as a really important piece to the community. I also want to add that we are participating with DDOT and with WMATA in a study to create a metro entrance on the east side of that underpass, which will really create some great connectivity to all the residents on the east side of the track, so they don't have to actually walk under the underpass. And we think that this piece, this green space, is an important part of achieving that safety for the pedestrians as they go to and from the metro.
Do you have any designs of that concept for the metro access?
We don't. It's in the very, very early stages of study. There was a grant that just funded the study, and we've been asked to participate in that and provide some information that we do have on the site and the surrounding area.
So are you planning, when you do this, is the idea to go above the tracks to the metro or under? How?
The idea would be that it would go under the tracks and come out somewhere, I believe so, on the central armature site. Now, ultimately, there may be some other recommendation, maybe go above it from the platform, but right now they're looking at the demand for it and the future development that's coming. And I think that in subsequent studies they'll address actual where and how.
So that part of the site is going to be in Ward 6. Is it Central Amateur that's across the street?
Well, it's not a study that is specific to Ward 5 or 6. It's really east of the railroad tracks.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Lewis?
Okay,
And then I see you, Roberts.
I'm excited to have additional living space coming towards my single-member district. However, I am a little bit concerned because the average income for my single-member district, which is where this is going to be, is $27,000. That is very, that's about a $40,000 at the minimum gap between the 80% AMI. So my biggest concern is that my residents can remain within the community, and you guys are willing to offer other amenities. I would prefer for us to have some units at lower levels, 50%, 60%, versus giving monies to community groups. Because I want my residents to stay here, you know, and they won't be able to afford at the 80%. And then another issue I have is in conjunction to the compact cars. I understand the concept, but I don't know if I want the parking to be reduced just to those compact cars, because then a family wouldn't be able to patronize the establishment. Let's say a mom has 4 kids. She should still be able to come enjoy protected parking. You know, and if it's a smaller car, then she might not be able to come with her kids. So those are my 2 concerns at this point. I would actually like for the amenities to be tweaked a little bit.
Okay.
Like,
And I want to address both your concerns. Let me first address the parking. I appreciate your thoughts. We actually are providing significantly more parking than the requirement. So the requirement is 80 parking spaces, and we're providing 143. So unfortunately, because we're providing more, it doesn't matter how much we're providing, we can only provide up to that certain percentage. I think what I say was 40%. 40%
maximum.
40%. So, I think that because we're providing so much more parking, that really kind of I think it addresses the issue. If we just park to the minimum requirements, I think we're still ahead. I can't do the calculation. We're pretty close to meeting what the requirement would have been at the. So kind of look at it as we're providing all the additional parking above what's required. We're doing as compact. Kind of look at it that way.
Commissioner Roberts?
he didn't answer my other question.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to mention is the going to 50. I understand the need for affordable housing at 50% of the AMI. I want to mention 2 things. We're not displacing anybody, so it doesn't displace or prevent people from residing in the ward in affordable projects. We're not displacing anybody. There's a considerable cost to going from the 80 to the 50, and when we looked at balancing what the total proffers could be, this really put us way over budget. Now, we still saved some money. We're not talking about a lot of money, but I heard from some constituents at the last meeting that they'd love to see us provide some sports equipment to one of the clubs, or there's some neighborhood cleanup effort.
That's not a priority for the single member district.
I understand. We're willing to work for some of the smaller needs of the community, but unfortunately, because of the cost of the park, we're just not able to do both. And we thought that instead of providing one or two, which would benefit one or two families, that a $500,000 park, which will provide more linkage and working with the property behind us, really benefits everybody and not just one or two residents. Not diminishing or discounting the needs of that, but we just thought in this particular instance that this might serve the greater community with safety and all the other benefits of the park.
Commissioner Roberts?
A couple questions. In that drawing, where is the metro? The red line?
Let us pull a different board up, which I think will provide a better understanding. So this is the metro station here, and currently pedestrians have to walk from the metro. If they're going east, they have to walk down Florida Avenue on either side, through the underpass to get east of the tracks. And what WMATA is studying is an entrance directly on 3rd Street.
So that's my next question. Have you all considered going in, I'm assuming that you're asking WMATA to cover that cost, assuming that they decide to do it. Have you all considered?
Well, I don't think it's I think it's a cost that is probably going to be looked at in many different ways. I think WMATA will probably, obviously cover costs. I think, there may be some special assessment. If there's a bid that's created or some special assessment. I know that we inherited the property with a special assessment that was part of the Noma station. So I think that is probably something that is going to be defined as the study progresses.
Commissioner Roberts, we're going to table your questions for the moment.
I might also
go to Ms. Spain and then Commissioner Lee, then we'll come back to you. We got to keep the questions to a minute. And I see you, Mr. Bolton.
There's one more thought I had. Yeah. So we're also part of a team that is looking at the overall infrastructure needs in the entire 45 acres of the market and adjacent Florida Avenue. Some of these pipes, which kind of affect some of the homes nearby, are over 100 years old. There's insufficient sewer and water, insufficient power, and we are working on a plan which would allow the district to fund the infrastructure improvements and needs on the east side of the track as well. So some of those will fall into infrastructure.
Perhaps my question is naive, I don't know. Now, when these high-end buildings are placed there, does it mean that the value of property, the taxes go up? And would that mean that these people will not be able, they displaced, the residents there will be displaced because their taxes are raised and they can't afford to pay for their homes anymore? So does that mean the area is changed, will be changed completely?
I'm not a tax specialist.
It can lead to that. We can say it can lead to that. I'm not going to say it will lead to that, but it can.
That's just my concern, the whole environment is changing.
Mr. Bolden,
yeah.
Mr. Bolden?
Yeah, my question is, knowing that this project certainly is going to benefit a tremendous amount of people, I was wondering if in your strategy you included the whole piece on jobs for residents in Ward 8, as well as employment opportunities once you get the project up and running. Because I think it was ANC Commissioner Lewis that just made the statement about this, the median income is $27,000, and certainly a project of this scale can have an impact, can make an impact in a number of the residents' lives. And have you all in your strategy process how you can assimilate some of the residents who are in this specific?
That's a very good question. Our construction site is going to generate a lot of jobs. We're also working on another project in the market that this ANC has supported at 1274th Street, where the contract purchases on that, and we'll develop that. And we've had conversations with some of the other stakeholders. There's going to be a lot of construction activity in the market as this area develops, and we've talked about ways to employ the local residents through some job fairs that we hope to hold once the construction activities really start to ramp up. We, at our View 14 project, we did employ some of the local residents. We encouraged local residents to stop by the construction site, and we hired people in the community for that site, and we plan to do the same thing here.
And also
Okay,
once it's up and running,
I'm sorry?
hiring also once it's up and running.
Oh, absolutely. There's going to be retail here, 8,400 square feet of retail that, our goal is to hire neighborhood, just as this neighborhood serving, we hope to hire neighborhood residents to work in the project.
Mr. Lee?
And the land that you want to put this park in, do you own the land?
No, that's owned by the district government.
So you planning to purchase it?
No, we're not.
You're asking for us to give you the land?
No, we're not asking. We're not asking for ownership. We're not asking for ownership. What we're asking for is, this is underutilized district property, and it's a blight. And what we're asking the district for is to come onto their site and beautify the site. The district has given the NOMA bid $50 million to go out there and acquire properties to create parks because NOMA is underserved. Well, we saw this as an opportunity utilize district property in an area that's been identified for public space and green space. The small area plan, which the zoning commission adopted back in 2009, calls for thousands of square feet of green space in the Union Market area, and they've had some options on where to put some of that green space, and we've said this is a great space to put it. It's consistent with your goals of parks and green space in the market, and consistent with your desire to have pedestrian connection into the market. So we see this as just a way of working with the district to achieve their own goals.
Commissioner Roberts?
This is not my SMD, but we know that affordable housing concerns can roll as DC continues to change, and so I just want to echo the concerns that Commissioner Lewis just shared. I was just doing some quick math, and the average median income is $107,000 as of 2013. And thank you, Commissioner Lewis, for sharing the average income. To me, that math is like something like 60, right? 80% of 107 is a family needs to make $85,000 a year. That's a basically $60,000 gap. I have heard from a number of my constituents, they are concerned about affordable housing in Ward 5, and certainly in my SMD. So while this all sounds great, I do just want to echo those concerns.
I appreciate that. I also want to mention that the project behind us is likely going to be a stick-built construction where the affordability requirements are different. So there is going to be a mix in some of the developments here. Concrete construction is much more expensive, a little more complex, and so the costs are much higher. And again, given the huge public benefit we're providing, we're asking that you provide some flexibility in your suggestion on this particular project. I think there will be lots of opportunities as more PDs come before you, but we hope that you would consider the fact that we're really focused a lot of money and energies on creating this park for everyone.
Commissioner Lewis?
I have two comments to make. The first comment is we have to be clear on the NOMA bid. Like, name branding is kind of important, but we have to be clear that the NOMA bid is not going to use their funds for these projects, because technically that project does not fall in NOMA. I've spoken to, I have good relationships with 560, so I know they're not going to use their bid money towards our project. And then the next thing is, I'd like to put a motion on the floor to support the project with an improved amenities package and for you guys to come back again.
Before you go, may I make one more? I just want to let everyone know that we are, we hear what you're saying, and we take it to heart. I just want you to know that we look at every opportunity to enhance the public benefits package for the community. I'd like to point out to the project that we did in B14, where a little bit unorthodox, where we gave $1 million to the Sankofa Tenants Association, 48 residents that were going to be displaced in a project across the street that was truly low income, and because of that contribution, even before we put a shovel in the ground, helped save these residents from being displaced, and they were able to acquire their building with funds from DHCD and preserve that affordability in perpetuity. Now, we didn't have to do that. We could have just gone with the typical, but we did something because the community needed it, and we responded to it. So I'm appealing to you because that's the type of people that we are. And so in looking at this, like we have a maximum dollars that we can put towards benefits, and we've got to really think about how to use them. And so in this case, we chose and thought this would be better. And I do hear you, and we do want to provide affordable housing. Anyway.
Thank you. I want to second that motion, and I want to offer an amendment to Commissioner Lewis's motion that not only do I agree that you should come back. What I've heard, I think you're well-intentioned, but I didn't hear a clear-cut community benefits package. It sounded kind of nebulous, giving various groups. We want the community benefits package for your project to reflect the needs of not just Ward 5 residents, but 5D01 residents, ANC5D residents. Any resident that lives in this community should be the immediate beneficiaries, as opposed to just some nebulous generosity, which of course we appreciate. I do echo Commissioner Lewis's concerns about the affordable housing component. I mean, you're given that as a matter of right, with under inclusionary zoning. So you're not providing any real affordable housing. So I'd like you to take a look at that. I understand, that your budget is tight, but I don't think that you maximize efficiencies regarding what you can offer versus where the project currently is. Also, I share the same concern I had the last time. While you did provide this information to Commissioner Lewis and her constituents, we're just getting it tonight. We're asked to vote on this, and we want to make sure that we are well informed and that the project is well articulated to the community. So I would support the motion for general support and ask you to come back again with a defined community benefits package to look at. Okay, Commissioner, thank you. And also to look at adding some affordability to this project, and also to coordinate any employment effort with the benefits of Commissioner Lewis and the rest of this commission, so that we can certainly get the people that we represent, particularly Commissioner Lewis, the opportunity to be at the front of the line for any job opportunities that become available.
Thank you. We'd be happy to.
Is there any discussion among the commissioners? Commissioner Roberts?
Just to clarify, I may not know this. You're asking for a letter of support for us in zoning change, is that right?
For the community, letter of support for the community to zoning change.
Any further discussion?
And your amendment is to
have them come back with a defined community benefits package to coordinate their employment activities with Commissioner Lewis and this commission, and to explore adding some affordable components to the project. They're coming back, so we can always amend. There's a vote. There's a motion on the floor now. That's been properly seconded. Is there any additional discussion?
I propose two amendments. This is your S&D. So one proposal, amendment 1, can Commissioner Lewis be the point person for any discussions about this?
That's understood.
So I will make sure all of you guys know the date that you're invited. So.
And my second, I guess, is whenever the revised package is shared, can it be shared, let's say, 15 days in advance? That would work for the commission.
Yeah, that's appropriate. Typically, when developers provide, PUD plans, they do provide us with ample notice. so we'd appreciate that. Thank you. Ready for the question?
Yes.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you, we'll be seeing you again.
Thank you.
Since there's going to be another meeting, a lot of this is new to me, and I want to see what in my head. Is there someplace I can go to learn more about those projects, engineering projects, and things like that?
Technically, how it works, but not every commissioner holds single-member district meetings. I do hold them, and my residents are aware of them. I don't believe you're in my single-member district, but I do flyers. I will not be doing those until there are funds for me to do flyers, but I do also send out email blasts. And it's typically the third Tuesday of the month. So you're free to come. It's at Trinity Baptist Church. Thank you.
And while Mr. Poussin is getting set up, I want to take an opportunity to recognize former Commissioner Joyce Davis. Please stand and say hi. Okay. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We're almost, and if you have not signed in, I saw new people come in. Please make sure you sign in and print legibly. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. You ready? No, go ahead. Mr. Poussin. And first, before we go, did I spell your name correctly?
You got my name right.
All right, very good.
No problem.
The floor is yours.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tony Poussin. I represent an organization known as HR 57. We're the HR 57 Foundation. For the past 21 years, we provided and supported the arts community here in Washington, D.C., a lot of musicians in Washington, D.C. HR 57 being the Congressional House resolution passed by the U.S. Congress designating jazz and indigenous American musical art form. Since '93, we've been at 9th and P, 14th and V, 13th and Q, 8th and H, 10th and H, and we're moving back. We just bought a building in Northwest. We're going through some process, and next year or so, we'll be back at a structure. But between now and then, we've got together with Gallaudet University and decided to work on an outdoor project, creating an outdoor space where we can provide music, where it wouldn't disturb the community. We provide a festival place where the community can get together and have different kinds of festivals. We've reached out to different